Sometimes the strangest stories don't come from cursed houses or haunted woods. Sometimes they come from places we pass every day. Empty buildings, quiet offices, rooms that were never supposed to have witnesses. This story was sent to NightLore by someone who swore every word was real. A man who worked the night shift. Until something on the emergency frequency called his name. He said he wasn't supposed to talk about it, but he couldn't keep it to himself anymore. So tonight, we're going to listen. This is the broadcast I never thought I'd end up. One of those people who starts a story with you probably won't believe me. But if you're hearing this, I need you to understand. I'm not lying. I didn't make this up. I was just a night guard. A regular guy doing 12-hour shifts at a research facility on the edge of the industrial district. Nobody told me what they researched there. And honestly, I never asked. I clocked in, checked the doors, watched the cameras, filled out reports. Routine. The building was always half dark, even during the day. Half the lights didn't work. Half the offices were empty, and most of the rooms were colder than they should have been. Still, I liked the silence. It was easy money. Most nights were identical coffee-going stale radio, humming quietly, and the wind scratching against the security glass. The only company I had was a weather alert radio the company kept for emergencies. It never said much, just static, and the occasional storm warning. That night felt the same as all the others. Until it didn't. It started a little after 2. 3 sharp tones came through the radio. I didn't react at first. It runs test alerts every few days. Usually, something about missing kids in another state or flash flood warnings. Then a voice came on. It wasn't robotic, not exactly human either. Calm, controlled. This is a test of the emergency alert system, it said. I kept chewing my protein bar, barely listening. Then the message glitched for a second, just enough to catch my attention. This is a message for Richard James Summerfield. I froze. That's my full name. Not the one on my work badge, the real one, middle name and all. The voice continued steady as ever. Please remain indoors and do not engage with the noise outside your perception. Estimated test duration 1 hour. Then silence. No static, no timestamp, just dead air. I remember sitting there staring at the radio, waiting for it to repeat. But it didn't. There wasn't even a record of the message in the log. I told myself it had to be a glitch. Maybe a database test. Maybe some hacker messing with emergency frequencies. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that it knew me. The building suddenly felt heavier, like the air itself was waiting for me to do something. About 20 minutes later, the tones came again. Same pattern, same pause. This is a message for Richard James Summerfield. I clenched my jaw, ready to turn the damn thing off, until the next sentence. You were 11 years old when you refused to visit your mother in the hospital. I dropped my pen. You told your brother it didn't matter. You said she wouldn't remember you. You said it to hurt him. My heart stopped. I hadn't talked about that fight in years. Not to anyone. My mother died 2 days later. The voice paused for a long time before whispering, "You were wrong." Then, "You will attempt to check the loading dock in 35 seconds. Please reconsider." I didn't move. Not for a long time. It wasn't just the memory, it was the way the voice said it. Like it wasn't predicting me. It was observing me. But somehow I stood up anyway. My body moved before my brain caught up. I grabbed my flashlight, scanned my badge, and started walking toward the back hall. The service corridor stretched ahead, like always grey concrete, flickering lights, the hum of machinery. When I reached the loading dock door, the night air hit me in the face. Cold, empty, no trucks, no people. Just the sound of wind crawling through the chain link fence. I remember thinking, fine, you got me out here. Now what? Then on my way back, the radio flared again. Only this time, no tones, no warning. Do not turn around. I stopped walking. The words hit me so hard, I forgot to breathe. Do not turn around, it repeated. Do not engage. Every hair on my neck stood straight. The hallway behind me was pitch black. I couldn't see anything, but I could feel it, like the air was pressing against my back. I don't know how long I stood there before curiosity got the better of me. I turned, just a glance over my shoulder, and everything broke. The far wall rippled like water. My vision warped. The colors bled together. I heard glass shatter teeth, clattering 1,000 overlapping breaths, whispering my name. I jerked my head forward, again facing the exit. Instant silence. Everything looked normal. The lights hummed softly, but the hallway wasn't the same. The door I'd just come through was gone. After that, nothing in the building made sense. Hallways twisted where straight lines should have been. Rooms doubled back into themselves. The exit signs flickered, but never pointed the same direction twice. Every camera feed was frozen. Every map was blank. The place was rearranging itself. I tried using landmarks rooms I knew by heart, but they wouldn't stay still. I'd walk through the break room and find the server racks where the soda machine used to be. And the mirrors. That's when I started noticing the mirrors. At first, they reflected normally until I stepped closer. Then everything behind me turned black. Not dark, not shadowed, just gone. When I looked directly into one, my reflection vanished. After the third time, I stopped looking at them altogether. The radio came back without warning. Route correction in effect. Please proceed to the observation zone. Avoid interior mirrors. I didn't listen. I wasn't following its orders anymore. The corridor dipped slightly, then branched left. I took the sidebar, hoping it would loop me back toward the lobby. Halfway down, I heard something. Crying, soft, slow, muffled. A woman's voice, maybe though it sounded warped, like it was coming from the wrong end of a tunnel. Then a click, metallic, deliberate. The radio buzzed again. Avoid the next intersection. You won't listen. We are sorry. My blood ran cold. I stood at the corner, heart pounding, staring at the darkness ahead. The crying got louder. I remember thinking, if I go, I prove it right. If I don't, I prove nothing. In the end, I turned the other way. That's when the lights began to die. Not all at once, one wing at a time. You could hear the breakers clicking off in sequence, each pop dragging the building closer to silence. Then every monitor, every tablet, every frozen camera flickered to life at once. Same message, same white text on black background. Subject deviation confirmed. Sequence collapse in 12 minutes. Manual override required. You are not authorized. The words burned into my eyes. The building started to feel wrong again, heavier, smaller. The ceiling seemed to drop. The air vents disappeared, and the sounds returned. Footsteps that didn't match mine. Breathing that wasn't synced to my lungs. Voices whispering things I'd said years ago. Every step forward echoed twice, once real, once delayed. Behind me, something clicked against the tile, slow and rhythmic, like metal tapping bone. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. The corridors began to close in. The walls pulsed faintly like they were breathing. Then I reached it, the same intersection. The crying was back, closer this time, raw and human. The radio whispered, "Turn around, comply, reset, turn around, comply, reset," over and over. I stopped moving. I'd followed the rules, I'd broken them, I'd survived every trick this thing threw at me. But what if this was the test? What if the only real choice was to defy it completely? I turned toward the crying and stepped forward. The air dropped 10 degrees. The walls pressed in until my shoulders brushed them. The sound hit me like a wave metal scraping static, screaming, whispering in my own voice. Shapes moved inside the walls, figures human but wrong. No eyes, no mouths, just folds of skin where faces should be. Their arms bent backward, their fingers clawed at nothing. They weren't trying to grab me, they were mimicking me. I kept walking. I don't know how. Every breath scraped my throat raw. My vision tunneled, glitching at the edges like static on a dying screen. Then suddenly, silence. One step later, and the world stopped. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in the main lobby. The fluorescent lights buzzed softly overhead. Dawn was breaking through the front windows. For a second, I thought I'd imagined everything until the door burst open. Dozens of people poured in. Soldiers in black tactical armor, scientists, medics. They swarmed the room like they'd been waiting for this moment. One of them grabbed my arm. His gloves were real solid warm. He pulled me toward the far wall, where a shimmering dome of static hung in the air, a translucent barrier humming faintly. Behind it, the corridors twisted and glitched, flickering like an image barely holding together. I stared, unable to speak. A scientist stepped toward me, pale and exhausted. "You walked out?" he asked. "You got out on your own?" I nodded. He exhaled like he'd seen a ghost. "That wasn't real," he said quietly. "You were inside a test field, a cognitive simulation. It wasn't supposed to activate." He glanced toward the dome. It started responding to observation. The more we watched it, the more it evolved. It fed on recursive feedback. We lost 2 teams trying to extract personnel. He swallowed. "You weren't tagged. You walked in by accident. And somehow, you made it through alone." Behind him, an alarm wailed. "Field integrity dropping 50% and falling," someone shouted. The scientist's grip tightened on my shoulder. "If containment fails," he said, "it doesn't stay in there." He didn't finish the sentence. I never got to ask more questions. They pulled me out of the room, past the soldiers, past the blinking consoles. But as we moved, I heard it. 3 short tones, from somewhere deep in the dome, then faintly through every radio in the lobby. "This is a message for Richard James Summerfield." I turned toward the sound, but the soldiers shouted and dragged me back. The last thing I saw before the door, sealed shut, was the static field pulsing once, twice, like something breathing beneath it. Then everything went quiet. You've just heard the broadcast. I don't know where Richard Summerfield is now. The report said the building was sealed, that the system was shut down. But 2 nights after that, a signal came through on the same frequency. It only lasted 6 seconds, just long enough to play 3 tones, and a voice that said, "This is a message for you. If you're hearing this and your radio ever hums at night, don't listen, don't turn around, and whatever you do, don't answer it. Sleep well if you still can." This is NightLore. We tell the stories that don't stay buried.